Good morning, everyone. My name is Jessica, and I will be presenting my IQT tool on quality audit. The following learning objectives will be reviewed during this presentation. We are going to review what a quality audit is, why they are used, the different types of quality audits, the audit process, advantages and disadvantages, how quality audits apply to project management, examples, conclusion, and references. What is a quality audit? PMI 2017 defines quality audit as a structured, independent process to determine if project activities comply with organizational and project policies, processes, and procedures. Rose 2014 defines quality audits as primary mechanisms for determining the effectiveness of quality assurance activities. You can view quality audits as kind of a checks and balances system. So these are used in quality assurance and to ensure that quality control measures are working and are effective. Why are quality audits used? Audits are used for several reasons. First off, they review the effectiveness of quality assurance processes. Audits evaluate standards and they measure the performance to those standards. So you can think of audits as a measure of conformance. Audits determine if organizational controls are working effectively. Audits can be used to identify proficiency and can help drive organizational improvements. They allow for improvements and resource optimization. So auditing an internal or external process can help identify gaps and areas of improvement. Audits are considered a tool because they may result in findings that drive a required action or a corrective action. That action may provide a cost benefit, energy, or resource optimization advantage to the entity being audited. Audits can reveal risks and ensure that any risk mitigation efforts are or were effective. So audits can help ensure safety and identify hazards. Types of quality audits. The types of quality audits is a very broad subject, but I've included the 5 main types of quality audits in this presentation. The 5 types of quality audits are process, product, system, financial, and management. Process audits. These mainly focus on measuring the established limits or criteria of a defined process. In other words, it's checking if a process or procedure's criteria is being adhered to. Product audit mainly focuses on examining the end product or service. It's the final examination before it's delivered to a customer or end user. Product audits ensure that a product is fit for use, is safe to sell to customers, and ensures that it meets internal and external safety requirements. System audit. These are mainly focused on established systems. So for example, a safety system or office system, or any kind of system you internally have within your organization. So system audits identify if a defined process or procedure is conforming or non-conforming. With constant changes to technology and environmental factors, systems can quickly become outdated and not as efficient. So audits are conducted regularly to ensure that a system is still working efficiently. So financial audits. These mainly focus on accounting and tax audits to ensure accurate number reporting. Financial audits examine an organization's finances to ensure no errors have been made. These must be accurate and truthful for the appropriate stakeholders. So I want you to think of investors here. They want to make sure that they are investing in a successful company with strong financials. They're not going to want to invest in a company that has been known for fraud or isn't doing as well. So financial audits are also conducted for tax-related purposes. So the IRS will often conduct financial audits to ensure the proper amount of tax has been paid. And this can be at an individual level or an entity level. So management audits mainly focus on examination of management procedures and policies within an organization. Management processes may be measured up to an organization's long-term strategy and processes to follow. So this type of audit answers the question, how is management measuring or performing to their organization's goals and objectives? What can they do or what needs to be done to ensure management is following the organization's path to long-term strategy and success? The audit process. The audit process may differ by organization or entity, and it may be internal audit or it may be an external audit. And here are the basic steps to follow when conducting an audit. Step number 1, a need. When conducting an audit, it's important to answer what triggered the need for the audit. Why is an audit needed? Step 2, request for documentation. Request documented information about the process or procedure. This information should include everything that must be adhered to. The audit will measure and ensure these rules are being adhered to and the steps are being followed. Step 3, self-assessment. How does the entity or person evaluate themselves against the established process or procedure? Step 4, conduct the audit. As I mentioned previously, internal or external entities conduct the audit. They ask questions and review the process and procedure from step number 2. Step 5, report findings and recommendations. What was found? Is the entity or person adhering to the process or procedural rules? What did the auditor find? Step 6, close the audit. The auditor will close the audit and will not ask any further questions and will not review anything further within the process. At this step, it is completely finished. The auditor's work has been done. Step 7, issue the final report. The auditor will issue the final report of their findings and including any preventative or corrective actions needed. Step 8, action plan follow-up. The auditor will provide an action plan and possibly schedule a follow-up. And another step that may be needed that's not included here is to repeat the whole process. It just depends on your organization and the type of audit that is being conducted. You may or may not have to repeat the process to ensure that any preventative or corrective actions have been addressed. There are several advantages and a few disadvantages to quality audits. For advantages, quality audits help prevent errors and prevent fraud. If an organization conducts audits regularly or has been known to conduct an audit out of the blue without warning, employees will defer from committing fraud. Identifies opportunities. Audits can help identify opportunities, which can reduce waste, save money, or improve efficiency within an organization. Audits are known to optimize those identified opportunities. How much waste can you reduce? How much money can you save? And how efficient can you be? Identifies deficiencies. Looks for areas that can be improved. Perhaps an outdated process can be revised and improved with new technology or a new idea. Drives change and improvement. Audits can make a process or procedure better. Disadvantages. The biggest disadvantage is the fact that audits are very time consuming. So imagine the time it takes to conduct an audit. Last November, I was involved in a quality audit that lasted 3 days, and each day we worked over 12 hours, so 36 hours total. Timing it takes to conduct an audit will vary depending on the type of audit being conducted. So for example, I once worked for an auditing financial firm, and our audits were known to take months, if not years, to complete. Secondly, they're very costly. So if an organization hires an external auditor, that can be quite expensive. And if travel is involved, the cost of airline tickets, hotels, and meals, those costs add up very quickly. Documentation quality. So remember from step 2 of the audit process, where you request documentation about the process and procedure. The quality of that documentation plays a huge role here. If the documentation provided to the auditor is of poor quality, the auditor is not going to know, and he is going to measure the process or procedure to that documentation. Bad quality of documentation will lead to a bad audit. And last disadvantage is the audit accuracy. And this goes hand in hand with documentation quality. The auditor needs to measure and examine that process or procedure against the documentation given. So the audit isn't going to be accurate if the quality of that documentation is bad. How are quality audits used in project management? First off, it measures the project's progress and milestones against goals and objectives. Does the status of work performed and the work that needs to be completed comply with the scope, schedule, and budget that has been determined for the project? Secondly, it determines the project management process. Auditing the project allows for creating or improving the process of managing a project. Lastly, allows for implementation of corrective and preventative actions. Say, for example, that an audit was conducted on your project. You think that you are on track with scope, budget, and timing. An external auditor comes in and states that after a huge milestone halfway through the project, you will be short on material and human resources. This will give you enough time to address the issue that will be coming down the pipeline and would greatly affect your project. So audits can identify best practices, identify gaps, non-conforming areas, and help improve processes to make the project team more effective. And these can be used in current projects or any future projects that your organization might have you involved in. We are going to review two different examples of how the audit process portrays to life scenarios. In example number 1, ABC Incorporated does not think an ongoing construction project will finish on time per the project manager's schedule. The project manager is adamant that the project will be completed on time. ABC Incorporated has hired an external auditor to audit the project's process. Step 1, a need. ABC Incorporated needs to understand the progress made on the construction project. So they're questioning the schedule at this point. Second step, request for documentation. ABC Incorporated requests project schedule, statement of work, budget, and any other relevant project documents. Step 3, self-assessment. The project team conducts a self-assessment on their project. Step 4, conduct the audit. The external auditor conducts the audit on the construction project. Step 5, report findings and recommendations. The external auditor determines that the project is behind schedule, under budget, and lacks resources in future project phases. Step 6, close the audit. Closing meetings with stakeholders. Step 7, issue the final report. The external auditor issues the final report to ABC. Step 8, action plan follow-up. The project team and appropriate stakeholders determine an action plan to address the schedule and resource concerns for the project. Example number 2. In this example, XYZ Incorporated is an automotive manufacturer that wants to conduct an audit to onboard a new oil and water pump supplier for their 4-cylinder engines. First step is a need. So XYZ Incorporated has a need for a new supplier. Second step, request for documentation. XYZ Incorporated requests documentation from the supplier on their manufacturing and quality processes. Step number 3, self-assessment. The supplier fills out XYZ's audit form, which is a self-assessment form. Within this form, the supplier rates themselves on a scale of 1 to 100% in different manufacturing and quality areas. Step number 4, conduct the audit. XYZ goes to the supplier's manufacturing facility and conducts the audit. Step 5, report findings and recommendations. XYZ reports their findings and recommendations to the supplier. Step 6, close the audit. XYZ closes the audit with any corrective actions and time frame for completion. Step 7, issue the final report. XYZ drafts the final report and provides to the supplier. Step 8, action plan and follow-up. XYZ provides an action plan, follow-up plan for corrective actions or preventative actions. And this step might be, the whole process might be conducted again just to ensure that the supplier follows through with their corrective or preventative actions. But depending on the type of audit, this may or may not be needed. Conclusion. A quality audit is an evaluation of an organization's processes, policies, procedures, and quality assurance activities. Quality audits are used to review effectiveness, ensure efficiency, drive improvements, and identify gaps and reveal risks. Quality audits are used in project management to determine a project's progress towards goals and objectives. Here are the references used for this presentation. Thanks, everyone.